The strength in Ethereum is hard to miss, especially while Bitcoin is struggling to get back to old all-time highs. We're seeing Ethereum break into new highs against its Bitcoin value. So during this period of weakness in Bitcoin, how is it that Ethereum is showing so much strength, and how is this going to affect the cryptocurrency market throughout 2022? That's what we're going to look at in today's video, and also recap the 4-year cycle and lengthening cycle of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification icon so you can be updated with the analysis here on the channel. There are the links to Twitter and Instagram down below. Use those because they are the official links. Don't get scammed out there. I only have one link. It is in the description. And lastly, Patreon is selling out quickly for the month of December. Check out the link down below. 16% off annual payments. So it's nice and cheap, brings it back to the $39 price if you're picking up annually. That's to learn more about trading and investing in cryptocurrencies and full-time investing. So the first chart I have is BLX. This is the full history of the Bitcoin price. I've mapped out the 4-year cycle low to low, as mentioned by Bob Lucas. So the cycle analysis of his 4-year, we're not looking at the 4-year halvening cycle. This is low to low analysis. That brings us out to around December of 2022 for the 4 years from December 18. So the fact is the cycles can lengthen, but also repeat a 4-year cycle, as mentioned by Bob Lucas. Credit where credit is due. This is what we're looking at when it comes to that 4-year cycle. So it is possible. It is possible. Now, none of this is confirmed yet, but it is possible that we put in the high at $69,000 on Bitcoin and we get a movement sideways into a potential low point anywhere between that 69 and somewhere a little lower, say 28. What I mean by that is the cycle can look like this according to the 4-year cycle of Bob. And if you put in a low somewhere near the end of that 4-year period and you start heading back up, it depends on where the top comes in to give you an idea of a left-hand translated cycle or a right-hand translated cycle. So if we get a top sooner rather than later in 2023, you can see the years down below, 23, you'd have 24 about here, and then 25. So we get an early top. That means we could be in for a longer bear market within the next 4-year cycle. So we can still be in a 4-year cycle right now. We can go sideways and accumulate really heavily at this point, which is a good sign for Bitcoin, which then means we could burst through our logarithmic resistance and then push to new massive highs. 150, 250, 350,000 BTC. We'll know that somewhere in the future. So I know a lot of these sort of videos are coming up, or the ideas now are coming up because we have pushed down so hard and so fast from the high. And that tends to be when people are looking to understand what's coming next. Usually when the market's in highs, 60, 69,000, whatever we break to new all-time highs, no one really wants to know the worst case scenario of us pushing sideways and beginning to accumulate a little more. It doesn't necessarily have to look like this. We could be in for a longer period where we are here and then continue to put in new smaller highs, which just go a little bit above the following. So that gets us up to 70 or 80, maybe even 90,000 before we see a correction, and then we start that trend up again. So in that case, we could still say the cycle isn't over, because we haven't got to this major bear market, but the bear market could last some time. Just like we saw between the April top and the current top, which is in early mid-November. So we're still about 6 to 7 months between those tops. The other point on here is that we have gone up for 152 bars. So this is on a weekly chart from the major low to the current major top of 69,000. The green area here is the measure from the low to the high. So 152, it's basically 3 years. We scroll back, I guess you can see what we're looking at now. The low from 2015 to the high in late 2017, 152 bars. Take it another cycle back, you can see already that's 164 bars. So that's from the major low in 2010, 2011 here to the top in 2013, late 2013, 164. So it's about 12 weeks, 3 months difference between each of these tops so far. So we still can get a lengthening cycle overall, but we could be in for a short-term peak within the 4-year cycle, low to low type of cycle. Another date I'm looking at is 55 weeks from the current top of 69,000. That is based on the previous tops to lows. So the top here is December of 2017, came in at a low of December 2018. So that was 52 bars. The previous high to low is 59 bars. So somewhere in the middle, around 55, 56 weeks. If we measure that out from the current top, that's in November, that brings us out to about 1 year from now, in around mid to late December. And so that then lines up with the low to low, the 4 years. Of course, it's going to repeat from the previous low in December 18. And then, of course, the top lines up pretty well, looking at only the last 2 cycles. Of course, this doesn't have to play out, but I'm just getting a bit of an idea of where the market might go. And should the market go quiet in this period where we maybe go sideways, break down into some zones which seem a little scarier, head sideways and back up before we get to a little peak and dip again, then at least I'm prepared for that period in time. And I understand that maybe this was timing, the right timing for a cycle top based on what's happened in the past. 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down sideways. The beauty with this then is if we don't get into one of these massive bear markets, and I'm not saying we are, at this stage, I don't think we are in this sort of period where we just head straight down. I think we are reaccumulating at much higher levels before we take off to a much, much bigger price. So I think that's what's going on here, because it's not exactly like the previous cycles. I'm not expecting it to be exactly like the previous cycles at all. So if something like that does happen, we get a few extra higher highs, maybe into the 70s, 80s, $90,000 Bitcoin, and then come right back into the 60s or $50,000 Bitcoin and go again, then it all is lining up with a 4-year cycle and an extended cycle, which brings me to Ethereum. So to get to Ethereum, we're starting with the Bitcoin dominance. Now I'm looking at the Bitcoin dominance because it is really, really weak. This took me by surprise this year. I thought we would at least bounce back to around 52%, but from the double bottom that was put in this year, May and September, we barely got a bounce on and got rejected again. So we're coming back down to a triple bottom with lower tops. So this really isn't a strong triple bottom pattern, although it is a triple bottom. So if we do see the market at least break 44, then we could possibly see some higher percentages on the Bitcoin dominance, which means Bitcoin would take off sooner rather than later and take the gains back from Ethereum, primarily because it's the second largest market cap. Now, if that doesn't happen, and this kind of looks like what we saw earlier in this cycle, which is early 2021, you can see you got a bit of a triangle breakdown here, really fast action down, and then the triangle. If we're doing this on a much bigger time frame, then that would lead me to believe that we would then see lower prices on the Bitcoin dominance, which of course means the money would have to flow somewhere and the dominance would probably spill over into Ethereum. But the better chart to look at here is the BTC chart, because Ethereum has just been winding up forever. We've been in a bull market, Ethereum against Bitcoin, since mid to late 2019, so all the way up. We have now just recently broken out of the previous top in May, so Ethereum strength to Bitcoin, and we're now testing the previous resistance point in May of 2018 before it absolutely dumped. And so I think if we get a breakthrough here, the next stage or the next resistance is about 20-25% away at about a 10.5% Bitcoin value. So if Ethereum can go up about 23%, there's not really too much left for Ethereum just to take off from here. We just go straight up to that point, obviously not in an exact straight line. Throwing another 20 to 25% on ETH's price, wherever that may land, would then bring us up to around a $5,000 ETH. Now that's if Bitcoin holds steady. And as you can see, Ethereum's on the way down at the moment. So the ETH BTC chart could still head up, but the Ethereum price could stay reasonably steady if Bitcoin drops as well. But the whole purpose of this is I think Ethereum is taking the gains at the moment, or at least trying to hold steady and bring some more strength to the crypto market to extend this cycle. Because again, just on the chart, we can see that the strength for ETH is still here. So we have the 50% level. We've bounced off that at the moment. If we come back down, there's no problems. We get to 37 or 3600. We still have a few more areas left for support around 32 to 3300, whereas Bitcoin has already it's already broken past its 50% level. And that 50% level for Bitcoin is at 48,900. So it's broken the larger 50% because on Ethereum has still not closed beneath this first 50% level. And the strength now has gone to Ethereum over Bitcoin just based on the balancing points in the market for ETH and Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is looking a little shaky here, possibly heading down further. This is the major point that we don't want to see Bitcoin break down from, around that $39,000. But the final line in the sand is at 28,900. We're still a long way from that, but they're the points to keep in mind if we're trying to figure out whether we're still in a bull or bear. So for now, we're still in the strong zone and we're still in a bull market. So ETH USD is still holding pretty strong. It's above its first 50%, as you can see here. That's at 37, and then the next 50% is at around $32 to $3,300. So ETH is stronger. It looks like it's holding the gains here. So while Ethereum holds above the 50% level of 3,200, it looks like the strength is with Ethereum. If we're wrong, we would need to see Ethereum break down like it is moving down at the moment. We'd need to see it break down and start to close beneath 3,200 and then break down past the low in September, which is at 2,650. So it need to break down past this level and Bitcoin rise above. So while Ethereum is stronger than Bitcoin, I suspect the gains will start to move to Ethereum more so. It's a little bit safer in that regard. And altcoins potentially have the strength to run while Ethereum is also strong and Bitcoin is just chilling out, going sideways. That's currently how I'm seeing the 4-year cycle and the cycles extending, both working in together, plus giving us a possible altcoin year of 2022. Not that we'll see it the same as this year, but maybe with different niches popping off here and there. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll know that based on the ETH USD chart, whereby ETH will break down from the 50% levels and then these major lows as well. Usually if that's broken down, then people are a little bit nervous and they'll start to retreat to stable coins and maybe Bitcoin, but probably stable coins, and people won't want to gamble as much while these other markets are looking weaker. Now, overall, I still think the cycle is up. I think we're still extending, but there is some headwind at the moment and we need to reaccumulate in order to get to those higher prices. So I don't see this as bad. It's just a natural part of the market to get further and higher prices as we climb the total market caps, as they start to take away value from other areas in the financial space. Check out the link to Patreon down below if you want to learn more about trading and investing in cryptocurrencies. Like the video, share, subscribe, and of course use the links to Twitter and Instagram down below. Don't get scammed out there. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.